back to the Only Successful Event Show. I'm your host, April Iannazzone, and today I'm joined by another tremendous female business leader, Dara Lee. And Dara is from Dara Lee Productions. Now, the topic of today is building up female leaders in this industry and in general. So, Dara, before we jump in, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I'm happy to. So I actually began on a Broadway stage a little bit. I actually went to NYU Tisch School of the Arts, and I started performing across the country and discovered that actually the magic was behind the scenes. There, my passion for planning and storytelling kind of led myself to planning for some of the top agencies actually in New York City. And then eventually I opened my own agency in 2015. Working for some of my favorite brands, such as and creating events for these brands, such as Adidas, Brooks Running, CoverGirl, and actually one of my favorites, Secret Deodorant. In 2019, we actually helped promote the U.S. women's soccer team at the World Cup in Paris, France this past year.
That's incredible. And it's incredible how all different backgrounds really fit into not only the event world, but also the agency world and how you pull from all different resources.
I wanted to create events that weren't formulaic. I think that for me, because of my theater background, I really wanted to create dramatic events and really tear down that fourth wall, as you call it in the theater world. I really wanted the opportunity to help create an ad that actually you could step into. I think that some of that is missing. A little bit of the storytelling sometimes gets lost in the fact that my background actually is in theater, that I'm a natural storyteller, so I always want to be able to make sure that that's told. So for me, theater, I believe, can be transformative, and I think that events can too, and it really is why I started my agency, honestly.
I love that, and I totally agree with you. A lot of times it's more of how can we get an event and have it serve its purpose rather than what is the experience and the feeling and the emotion and the story that goes into the event. Do you have any examples that you could share of how you bring storytelling into an event?
I think one of the examples that kind of comes to mind, thinking of one really just like off the bat, was our event through Lufthansa. There was their 60th anniversary, and we wanted to recreate a 1950s actual airline terminal based off Lufthansa, all branded Lufthansa.
Oh, wow.
So we overtook a park actually in New York City and recreated in the park an actual 1950s terminal. And then the whole story was told not just through nice pictures and through props and setting, but we actually brought airline stewardesses. They're actually from the brand today, brought in brand ambassadors and actors to actually play the parts of role-playing actual passengers. So the people that were engaging in the actual event were talking to real life passengers at the time, giving them scripts to interact with guests.
I love that.
I think that for me, it was really about interacting with customers and having them live the life of a passenger in that time period. For me, bringing that flair, that theater flair to everything is always a fun way, a memorable way for people to take that event, with them. That's just the way we like to do things here.
I absolutely love that. And I'm sure you got some amazing pictures from that event as well. I could just picture everybody dressed up. That's very cool. And I'm sure that's also an event that your guests were talking about to everybody and really sharing that experience. So before we jump into really how you grew this business so fast and how you think other women can really own their place in the industry, I'm curious how you landed some of those first big brands at the beginning.
So I was really lucky. I hate saying that, but I also think it's also hard work. But before I started my agency, I worked for many other top agencies in New York City. So I had definitely built relationships. I built relationships with all those clients. I had really done my homework. I think that from me, it was building that network and keeping close with that network from former agencies. And when I was ready and when we opened, I obviously was prepared and ready to present them with our capabilities, with projects that I had done before, and giving that first opportunity for them to bid was a real special occasion for us.
Yeah.
And I think giving them special treatment, obviously, and making sure that maybe we would give them a little bit of a discount as a first client. But I think that for us, it was really about building all those relationships and keeping those relationships when I was first starting. Was really what gave us our big breaks in the very beginning, honestly. And then,
Yeah, I love that.
Keeping our clients is always about doing the hard work, making sure that the event is a success, and they're making them happy.
I love that you leveraged your past relationships too. So even if it was a project that you were working on in your previous agency, you never burned the bridge. You kept the relationship open completely, not only with the projects you were working on, but hopefully with the other agency as well.
Yes. We're all, it's a small experiential marketing world. So we all root for each other. We all understand that there's enough events in the world to keep us all going. So we understand that, there's always going to be competition, but it's always healthy.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I really did want to have you on today so we can discuss really developing the next generation of female leaders, because it's something, my whole mission in business, not necessarily this Only Successful Events brand, but my other brands, is really to show every woman and everybody out there, but particularly every woman, more specifically my two daughters, that they can generate any amount of money at any given time if they're willing to put in the work and do the right things. It's a limitless opportunity, and I feel like it's a message that a lot of times there are extra hoops that as a woman you have to jump through, but a lot of times as women, I see people using different situations as a crutch almost, or an excuse not to really move forward. So I really wanted to get on a little bit. Like, I know a lot of people say, oh, I have kids at home, I can't do this. Or, I mean, if it's something you want, there's always a way to figure out how to do it. And I kind of getting off topic a little bit, but
Nope, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
So Derek, can you tell us what you really think it means to develop that next stage, the next generation of women for the events industry?
I think it's really getting them prepared, honestly. I've been lucky enough to work for, like I said, for many agencies. So for me, when I was working at those agencies, I would always get approached by a lot of the younger women that were working at that agency for advice on everything from office politics to negotiating their salaries.
Yeah.
And I think that I've had my agency for about almost 5 years now. And even the women that I'm interviewing now, 5 years later, since I've left the other agency world, are still don't seem prepared. And I feel like that it's, for some reason, it's not growing, and knowledge isn't getting out there. I think for me, I really want to be able to mentor or help or teach in a way that helps them understand what they're getting into at an event agency, what the office politics is like, obviously this can happen in any office, but in events world, it's a different pace, it's a different life. Understanding what you're going to get into, how to negotiate, how to be prepared and be successful, and how to stay the course in this high stressful industry.
Absolutely.
And I think it's highly competitive, and I think also there's now colleges that are actually offering degrees in some of these, and actually experiential marketing, especially in the design world. But really, in production, there's really no course to be had besides some online things out there. But I think that I want to make sure that they are well prepared, and I think the knowledge that I hopefully myself and some other women who, I'm saying senior, but people that are in that senior role in the sense have just been in the business for maybe 10 plus years, who really have that knowledge and can help that next generation be better prepared and lead into that next generation.
And I do think the internet really makes it more of an environment where it looks like it's so fun and so easy to get into and so easy to break into the next level. But a lot of times it's about having thick skin and being able to get up the next day and go and do the same thing in a little bit more strategic way. So can you share some of the things that you wish you would have known when you were first starting out?
Mm. Uh, Starting like when I first started out, like when I first was an event producer, a little event producer when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah, let's talk about way back when you're fresh out of school, you decided to leave the theater world.
I will say I was lucky. In a sense, the theater world did prepare me for long hours, understanding how to work nights, understanding to get up the next morning was not a chore, was a pleasure. So I think that for me, I think the biggest thing that I would tell people to be prepared for is the long hours. Really, well, there's a couple things I would tell them. I would tell them first, you need to understand your why. You need to understand why you're doing this every day. And if that's a reminder in the morning to yourself to tell yourself why you're doing this every day, I think that's really important. I think that I'm also a very big meditator. I think this world can be very stressful. It's very up and down. And learning how to center yourself and learn how to breathe in those moments is really important to me. I think I would tell any producer or any designer in this world to do that. I think making sure you take care of yourself, exercise all the time, eat well, drink water like it's going out of style. I don't care if you put a flavor in it, drink it like you're.
I am a hyper hydrator, guys. My 40 ounces sits right in front of me, so I agree with you.
I mean, I think that, literally an event producer is up there. It's like the top 5 most stressful job in any industry. And it's there for a reason. You are working day and night for an event that could potentially happen, one day. We're producing events that are $500,000, $1 million jobs that are for one day. And that's a lot of stress to put on a lot of people. So I think that finding that mindset of why you do it and making sure that you enjoy the journey. I think that it can be hard in those stressful times when everyone's, worried. And especially now, obviously, we've got some things going on in the world of the coronavirus. And I think that all of us in the industry are really trying to be optimistic and understand that things will pass, but keeping that level-headedness is really, really important in any producer.
We had a guest a couple shows, actually it's probably 3 shows ago by the time this airs. She had a multi-million-dollar event canceled days before the event. It was supposed to happen last weekend in Los Angeles. So definitely coronavirus adds to the already stressful position. I am really curious, when you first got into the agency world, not owning your own, but when you first got in, what were some of the things that, you wish you would have known about as far as maybe office politics or working through or up that ladder?
I was always a very big self-starter. So I was always really interested in obviously I'm an event producer at first before I'm an event designer. So I always loved numbers. I was always a budget person. I always loved it. And I think that for me, I had to understand that when I went into negotiating or whenever I was working for understanding what salary or what I was worth, I really had to figure out, what I was worth in the sense of, well, what was I working on? How do I bring worth to a company? What kind of value am I? And I think that for me, I learned really quickly that I didn't know when I first went in was how much I was worth and how much my value really meant to that company. And how do I put that to a salary, if that makes sense?
Definitely.
And I think that a lot of women in this industry, when they first start, they kind of just take with what they could get. And I think that for me, we want to make sure that it's set a little bit higher. So when the next generation comes along, it's not so hard to move up. A lot of us are not hourly workers, except for maybe some of the freelancers. But I think that in general, making sure that, you understand how many hours you're working based off your salary and thinking about all those things
Because sometimes the salary sounds really great, right? And then by the time
Yeah.
you work out how many hours of, not even overtime, but how many hours you just worked on a project, it could be could be crazy.
Could be, it
Yeah.
could be crazy, I know that it comes a little bit with the course. I understand that. In the world of events, everything's really about community. I mean, literally, you are depending on every person. It's not, there's no man for themselves. And as any producer says, you are as good as people that you're working with, as well as that are, your vendors. So I think that it's a part with the course. You're going to work a little bit longer than most, but just understand that when you complete a job and when you are successful, that you understand what that value that brings, from a
Absolutely.
numerical value to, the relationships that you bring, that you really just take notice of all that.
Yeah.
That's just something I didn't understand. I probably learned that maybe like my first 2 years coming in, and not really. And then when I kind of put numbers to paper, because I am a very numbers person, I think it just was a lesson learned. And really, it's now something that a lot of people talk about when negotiating, but it's
Yeah.
still, surprisingly, it's still something that I hear a lot of women who don't, in the industry anyway, that don't know how to put that to paper when they go into maybe a review.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And I'm going to turn it a little bit here because that we were talking about when you were in working for other people. And now when you work for yourself and you are the owner,
Yes.
I want to talk about something that happens a little bit with men, but more so with women, and that's the imposter syndrome. And that's,
Ah,
do I really deserve to have this big account? Am I going to be able to pull this off? And I can't believe they picked me. All of those things that are going to go through your head until the event is actually over. um, did you have any of that when you first started? But I'll tell you, every level that I get in business, that always comes up and always creeps in, no matter what level I'm going after. So I don't want everybody listening to think that it's this one thing you're going to have to overcome. But I want to
yeah.
hear about when you first decided that you were going to own your own agency, and how did you have that imposter syndrome?
I think I did. I definitely did when I first started. I think that was, I think I felt not so much that I didn't deserve it, because I knew that the work that I would always supply, the value and the work and the creativity that we would supply our clients would be amazing. I never felt that. I always was just like, oh my gosh, this is coming to me. I think that it was a balance of just accepting that, like me, when I would go back, I kind of go back to my value of when I was a 20-year-old thinking about my value to a company. It's really the same mindset of same mindset as when I started my company now. It was like, okay, well, I am creating value for my clients. I am bringing them a high level of success where the impressions are through the roof. The audience attendance is more than they expected. And I think that for me, I think I definitely experienced it, but I go back to the mindset thing. Every day I remind myself why I'm doing this, why clients return to us, why I love what I'm doing, and why we do successful events, honestly. And I think that many females experience this, and I think that it can always creep in. I'm never going to say it doesn't ever creep in. It definitely creeps in once in a while, but it's something that it doesn't.
It doesn't stay there.
I don't allow it to cripple me, if that makes sense. Like I make sure that like anything in meditation, things are always going to creep in about worry or doubt or imposter syndrome. And for me, it's about acknowledging, saying, okay, I'm feeling this, but reminding myself that we've done all of these amazing things already. And the fact is that we can do them again. We will do them again. And I think that's what keeps us going and keeps me going every day, and really why I keep going back to that everyday mindset.
No, I love that. And as I mentioned, it all, at whatever stage in business I move to, it does, or if it's a new venture, it is something that always creeps in, but it's how quickly can you correct that thought process or feed in, like you said, we've delivered this before, we are going to deliver it again, and just almost not talking yourself out of those negative thoughts, but reframing what you were even thinking. So I
Yeah.
love that.
There's a couple books I always recommend to read. Jen Sincero, You're a Badass, is probably one
Yeah.
of the reads that I recommend to every female out there. She's one of the best. She's kind of my sensibility. She has a lot of humor, and she's kind of that a little bit of jaded New Yorker. So I love her sense of humor to it. To self help is
Mm-hmm.
great, and she talks about the imposter syndrome there a lot, and how to, as you said, reframe it, because everyone really has it, and I think that it's just something that needs to just be tweaked in everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you keep talking about your why, and I love that because to me, that's something. I mean, I have my why on my right at my desk that I look at every day. I journal in the morning, and we'll be talking about your morning routines in a minute. But what is your why? What really keeps you going?
From a business standpoint or from a personal standpoint?
So, I guess a little bit of both, if you don't mind sharing. For me, they're actually both one and the same. So,
Oh, that's great. I mean, I think for me, my why is a little bit different for both. My personal really is for my family. Honestly,
mhm.
I'm recently engaged. I recently bought a home. I think that for me, it's about family and inclusion and wanting to build a life for my family and friends. And I think that's really what keeps me going every day personally,
I love
and
that.
driving me every day, honestly. And I think that my professional why is really for my clients, honestly. I think that for me, I'm all about the process. I'm always about wanting the process to be as enjoyable as possible. Like I said, I've worked for many agencies before, and I really want to make sure that the process is as smooth and as easy and as enjoyable as possible for my clients, and really making their life easier. We do such great work and I really always want my clients to have just an easier, better life, and make sure that what we bring to their lives is bringing success to them,
Yeah.
because I know that that's really what it's all about. And I think that our events say something, but also the relationships that we have with our clients are just really, really important to me,
Without a
and
doubt.
and important to my everyone at my work. I want to make sure that those relationships are really great.
I love that you shared that your family is your why. Now, I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs with my Self Made Success brand, and a lot of them are always a little either ashamed to say that or really want to think about the bigger vision, and I just want to help people and give back and all of that, which is great, and we want to do that, and that's part of my bigger
Yeah,
piece. And but first and foremost is, am I providing for my family? Whatever my family goals are, that's my why. That's why I get up every morning. That's why I push myself so hard. That's why I do everything that I do. And
yeah,
how it goes into like how that turns into why I say it's one and the same and when it's business and not, because I really do want to set an example for my two daughters as well as other people of what is possible and how you can really I mean, there's a whole another big thing behind it, but it goes hand in hand. And I love the fact that you are being real too, and we
yeah.
both want to help people. Your goal is to mentor other women in the space and really help them as well. But you can't do that if things are not the way that you want them at home. You have to take care of your home base first.
Yeah,
So
no, I think it goes well hand in hand. I think it's my family is foremost the most important thing to me. I think that I mean, yes, could I mentor women without having a company? Yes, I do feel though that I want to set example. I want to make
mhm.
sure that to show them that whatever you set your mind to, like you said, you can do.
Yeah.
That you can, and to, I'm the oldest of six siblings. And so I literally lead by example. That's all I know how to do. I can tell them a million times how to do something, but they listen to me and everything goes out the
So
window.
you're going to have a really big wedding party, right? With your six siblings?
It's going to be humongous. That's a problem. But, I think that for me, I've just learned that, having six siblings who are all millennials, they learn by example. I show them every day. I show up every day. We work our tail off. They see the hours that I put in. They see the drive that I have, and what I want to accomplish in my life, and the goals that I have for my life and my family's life and my company. So I think that in the end, it's really, and that's what leads to hopefully guiding, younger women, guiding other women, and being able to actually not just tell them what I do, but actually show them.
Perfect. I love that. Now, most successful entrepreneurs have a daily routine and, something that they're pretty regimented in or ritualized. Do you have one that you could share?
Yes. I mean, I think it goes a little bit back to what we were talking about before, but literally my morning routine is as follows. I usually, the time varies, I'll be honest, depending on what event happened the night before. But I will say my morning routine is getting up. I meditate every day for 10 minutes with the Calm app. From there, I do energy kind of breathing exercises. I then get up and exercise for 30 minutes, either through yoga or running. I'm a big runner as well. And then from there, what I also do after that, I do what we call kind of business and like personal affirmations. For me, it's really talking my kind of reaffirming the reasons why I'm doing what I do every day for me personally, and reaffirming all of my business affirmations for me every day, meaning like why the business is running, what's important, and what our values are. Just it sets my brain and my mind in the right path of when we're talking to our clients, and and not letting me sweat kind of the small stuff that happens, obviously in the event world, like every day. Then after that, obviously I shower and change and probably walk my dog and feed my dog, and then off to work I go.
So do you say the affirmations out loud, or is it something that you're writing down, or are you just thinking through them?
No, I'm a big talker. I think that I have read them depending on, I will say sometimes if I'm like rushing and I still want to get them out, I might read them to myself in the subway. But if I am in my home, I do say them out loud. I think that it's a big deal to hear them, to actually saying things out loud all the time. I have vision boards. Everything I do is about making everything I say that comes out of my mouth and in my mind come true.
See,
I think that's the only way that works for me.
Yeah, and I'm the same exact way. To me, I want to say it, but I also want to experience the feeling. So I'll do affirmations and I'll write them and I'll say it, but I'll also write down what I want outcomes to be. Like if we are going after a big deal or something like that, then I will write down what I want, how much money I'll see in the bank, and then I will try to really feel. Sometimes I look ridiculous. I hope no one's watching, but I will try to like feel the whole, go through the whole thing, because I think it really does set. I don't teach on mindset at all, because my mind is very. I'm all about strategy, and here's what do I need to do to make it work. But I believe in mindset. 100% that it is something that needs to be worked on every day, and little pieces need to be sprinkled and implemented throughout your day to really have that overall the overall outcome that you desire in both life and business. With the event world, I think first you have to find the right spouse that understands the event world. So is he in the event industry as well?
He is amazing. He is also in the industry. We met actually when I first became an event freelancer. He was working in the fabrication industry. So we're very lucky that he understands kind of the hours that I put in, and just the world understands that,
Yeah.
you know, it's not linear, like events, like any life, nothing's linear.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky to have someone that's been in the industry and understands that.
Very, very true. Some people say you walk into your home doors and you leave your work life behind. I never could really do that. But do you have any ways of dealing with not letting them cross over
Work
too much? Yeah, and I hate saying work-life balance, but not to let it interfere with your home life too much.
It is hard. I'm not going to say it's not. I think especially for someone who, you know, obviously we understand the same industry, we're in the same industry, and if you want to confide in someone that obviously understands the industry that you're in, my advice, just coming from obviously experience, is usually when I come home, I think that when I know that I really don't want to mix oil and water, for me, it's really about settling the mind. And I think that the only way I tend to end up doing that is I take a moment and I go back to, I do something, I didn't actually mention this in my morning routine, but I list of gratefulness that I have in my life. And I think that, again, when you're so stressed out, you kind of forget what you have in your life. I don't know why that happens, but you're caught up in all the small stuff. Why someone didn't call me, what happened, what vendor did this, or whatever it is. And you forget what's really, really important sometimes. And then you're short with your loved one at home because you've had a hard day. And that's obviously not fair to them or to you. So really taking a moment in between, you know, your work and before you come home, and taking a moment to be grateful for those people that are in your life. Being grateful that you can come home to that man or woman in your life that's maybe cooking you dinner because you've had a long day, or that already has that takeout set out, you know, on the kitchen table for you, or has poured that drink for you and understands that you're stressed. I think that that's a really thing I do a lot of, to really separate and let go of the work day. Again, I always go back to things like, you know, if you have that time to meditate, to do those things, going out for that run before I get home, to kind of just separate that time and let things go. Really, the grateful moments for me are really the ones that are the most impactful, because I come home and instead of being a little bit grumpy sometimes, if the day kind of hit me hard, I can come home and smile and look at my fiance and go, I'm really happy to come home to you, and not go right into like all the things that went wrong today. Yeah. And he's really great too. He reminds me to do that a lot as well, because I'm very lucky to have a partner like that. So. Yeah. But I would say those are the three things I do a lot of.
Thank you for all the little golden nuggets that you shared throughout. So where can people find you? We'll put everything in the show notes, but why don't you tell them too?
Great. Well, our website is, you can definitely reach out to our website at Dara, DERALEE.com. We're always hiring, so if you'd like to reach out to me directly, that's completely fine. It's you can email me at events@DaraLEE.com. Just let me know, and maybe in the subject line where you found me over, obviously at April's show. And then I think obviously going to my website is a great way to just learn a little bit more about us.
Well, thank you again, and I hope to have you on in the future, because I know that you have much more information that our audience can benefit from.
Yes, thank you so much, April. Have a good rest of your day.
If you've been in my world or following me for a while now, you know that I'm an award-winning event producer and have been producing events for over 15 years. All kinds of events: workshops, retreats, conferences, huge trade shows, expos, even bridal shows. You name it, I've done it. And we've done it for not only ourselves, but clients and government agencies. Events have become a huge revenue source for my businesses. But believe me, it wasn't always this way. When I first started out, I made every mistake you could possibly make and lost a ton of money. Until recently, I've only shared my secrets on how to produce an extremely profitable event with my private coaching clients. But it seems lately a lot of you guys have been direct messaging me, asking me how to fill a room, how to get big name sponsors, if I can look over any of your contracts. So what I decided to do was put together a free live masterclass where I share all of my secrets on how to host an extremely profitable event. Here's just a few things that I'm going to cover. One, we're going to talk about how to get rid of the risk of hosting an event, because you'll know exactly how to turn a profit before your event is even live. We'll talk about the top 3 ways to make money with your event and why you really should only choose one as your main goal. But don't worry, you'll have a lot of additional revenue streams for that event. And you'll get over the fear of having an empty room, because I'm going to show you exactly how to fill the room, get those butts in seats and those asses in the classes. And I'll show you over 20 possible revenue streams for just one event. And you all want to know how to secure big name sponsorships that are willing to pay you big money to be a part of your event? Don't worry, I'm going to share. So if you're even thinking about hosting an event in the next year, you need to join this masterclass. I am not holding anything back, so go ahead, click the button, save your seat now, and I will see you on the next page.